refer to page numbers. That's quite nice. So quadratic regressions, okay, that's I call like once we learn how to do regressions, there are 4 types of regressions: type 0, 1, 2, and 3. We'll do one at a time. So basically 1 day per regression. And so just follow for now. So far you were given the equation, which we entered into y1, and we were able to use second trace something, right, to extract information about that parabola. In this lesson, you will learn to determine the quadratic regression that will best model the scenario, okay? You have to understand that it models a scenario. You are finding the line of best fit, okay? In grade 9, you may have done some of this. You tried to find the line that would best fit your data. I don't know if you remember vaguely. I mean, grade 9 during COVID. Was it during COVID for you? Sort of, yeah. So it's kind of like, I don't know what happened there, right? It's all a blur. Quadreg allows you to determine the quadratic equation that needs at least, very important, 3 points. You need at least 3 points to perform a quadratic regression. Quadreg is the function we're going to use, so don't dread it too much. It's actually calculator is your friend there. Remember that you can use the symmetry. Okay, you can use the symmetry of the parabola to determine a third point. That's very important to remember. Symmetry is it just makes things a lot easier. You can have partial information and find more. To access quadreg, we press. So let's do that real quick here. So if you turn it on, go second mode to quit to the home screen, right? And if you press stat, there's a stat button. It's like right under delete. There's a stat button. If you press that and then go to calculate, you go arrow to the right, you should see quadreg there, your 5th option. I'm only going to teach you quadreg. That's all we do in grade 11. Next year, if you take grade 12 applied, you will use cubic reg, okay? You will also use this one, natural logs. Don't be scared. It's the same thing. You're going to use sin reg, which is the sinusoidal reg, the sine wave. You're going to do a bunch of other ones. So I'm basically just getting you set up. The steps are exactly the same. Okay. So let's so basically always go to quadreg. So you press stat calc, and you're going to press it so many times that you're going to remember in no time, right? So, but that's how you get there. It requires the following input. So quadreg is going to basically ask you for 3 things. The location of the x values, like where are you going to store the x values? The location of the y values. And then comma, we will give it a place to store the resulting equation. Okay, and can I just add this? Entries are separated by commas. Like these commas are actually like, it's an actual button that we'll press. And comma button is very easy to find. If you look on your calculator, it's right under sign. There's a comma button there. So that's the one I'm talking about there. Okay. Steps to perform a regression, i.e., in other words, to determine the equation of the parabola. You turn on plot 1. So let's do that. Plot 1 is turned on. I told you how to turn it off already, right? So we go y equals. I will clear everything that's there right now. Just clear all the equation, get rid of everything. And we just go to plot 1 and we hit enter, and it's highlighted. You should be able to get away from it and it's still highlighted. Then you know it's on, right? And look at what I'm saying here. Note, we only have this for regressions. And you're like, well, how do I know if I'm using regressions? Like, how would I know that? Basically, are you using quad reg, right? Are you using quad reg? If it's the case, then you're performing a regression, right? That's how simple it is. Then we will have to, once you've done that, you press stat edit, enter x values into L1. We enter the y values into L2. And you're like, what? Just follow me. Stat, press stat. And you know how I told you to go to calc earlier? We don't. We just stay, it says edit right there. The first option is edit. Hit enter. And you should have L1, L2, and so forth. Those are basically, it's almost like a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet. That's what it is. And I can see for some reason somebody typed something and messed your L1 and L2 up. It's not there. So let's all do this so we fix that, okay? Even if it's all good for you, follow me anyways. Press that. You should see this right now. And then we go to setup editor. What it does is it basically makes sure that it will fix everything. So we go, once you press enter, this is now on your home screen just waiting for you, okay? You will press second, and then you'll press, no, wait. Don't press second. Just press second again to make it go away. Just setup editor, hit enter. That's all I meant to say. And when it says done, we can go back to L1 and L2, okay? So press stat, where it says edit, hit enter, and now whatever happened to you before, you should be able to see L1, L2, L3, and so forth. Can I ask you to clear everything that's in there? This is the fastest way of doing it. Go all the way up to L1, like arrow up, hit clear, hit the clear button, and then hit enter. It will get rid of everything that's in that column. Don't hit delete. If you hit delete, watch what's going to happen. I will do it for you, okay? To amuse you, you hit delete, L2 is gone. And that's where you do what I just told you, setup editor fixes that. If I go back in there, L2 is back, right? That's why I just did what I did. So you have to hit clear and then enter, everything is gone. That's the quickest way of doing it, okay? And that's where we're going to store our x values and our y values. And that's what quad reg is going to use to make the equation. It's basically an equation maker, right? Okay. And you're like, this is going to be a bit confusing for now, but these are the steps. These are the buttons we're going to type to perform our regression. So just hang in there. Don't do it right now. I will walk you through it. But this is what you should see when you're all said and done. That's what you should see. Your home screen, when you've typed all these buttons, you should see quad reg, L1, L2, Y1. That's very important. So let's go ahead and do that. Determine the quadratic equation that best fits the points. We will type this into, we type that into L1, and we type this into L2. Make sure you indicate that in your notes. Right? Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go I'm going to go to the home screen here. Hold your horses, Mr. Dirksen. It's way too fast. Okay, take a breath. Okay. Take a breather here. Stat, edit, go to L1, and I'm going to look at the values. I'm going to enter them one at a time. -4, -4, not -4, okay? You have to press the negative button, hit enter. Then you go -1, enter, and then you go 2, enter. And those are your 3 x values. They're in L1. And you go over to the right and type in the y values. -5, enter, 2, enter, 1, enter. If you make a mistake, it will complain. Like if you try to make a regression, it won't let you. Okay? Okay. Now you got to follow me, and I'm going to actually follow these exact same steps here. So once you have done that, you got to go back to stat. Oh, there's a typo. Mr. Dirksen. This is supposed to say calc. I'm just letting you know that I'm a human being, you know. Yeah, sorry about that. So that it's supposed to say stat calc, not edit. We're done editing. That's when you enter your L1 and L2 values. So let's so stat, right? Then we're gonna go over to calc on our calculator. Then you're gonna go either press 5 or go down to quad reg. Hit enter. I'm going to take my time here. Hit enter. As soon as you hit enter, it brings it to your home screen. It's like, okay, I'm this program that you want to use. Give me some stuff so I can work with it, right? So this is where this other part comes in. Second one is basically calling L1. If you want to add this to your notes, right? Second one is basically calling L1, and second 2 is basically calling L2. So let's do that part together. Press second and then number 1, right? You should see L1 appear on your screen. Just like that. And then you press the comma button. So second 1 to call L1. Press comma. Then we're going to go second 2 to call L2. So now you're telling QuadReg, this is where my X values are, this is where my Y values are located. And now, comma, we need to tell it where to store the equation once it performs the quadratic equation. So this is where you need to press this part right here, vars. So let's press the vars button. It's right here where my pencil is, right there. Press vars. You got to go to y vars, y variables, and from there it's basically just enter, enter, enter. Watch. Enter. Where do you want to store it? It's asking. We're usually going to store it in Y1. Enter. See, it brought it into your home screen. And then hit enter one more time. This is the equation that will model the points we've just entered. Is anybody not seeing this equation? If you're not seeing it, I will come and see you and we'll figure it out. But for now, just write this down. Watch this. The equation is essentially, we're going to say that we press stat, calc, quadreg. That's all I need you to do for keystrokes. I don't need you to do that whole thing there, right? The long, elaborate. And then you write down y is equal to, watch on the screen, a is negative 0.44. So we go negative 0.4, let's do 3 decimals, why not? X squared, because you're just plugging an a into that equation. That's the general form, right? And then b is 0.11, so that's 0.111x, right? You need to follow it up with an x, and then plus the C value is 2.556. And that is the equation that would model those points. But it gets better than that. We're not done yet. So for now, just write it down and then we'll get you set up if you're struggling, okay? This is the cool part. You can graph this thing now. Press y equals just for one moment here. Press y equals. And so basically what it did is it pasted it into y1, right? It made that equation and it's now in y1. You get that part? Now, let's hit graph because technically you can graph it, right? It's in y1. Let's hit graph. Oh, there it is. You see that? Those are the 3 points. If you zoom in, you should see these are the 3 points you've entered. You see little dots there, and then it graphed it, right? So let's press zoom 6. I think zoom 6 is better. Zoom 6. You see a little bit more. And so that's the equation that would model these 3 points. You've only given it 3 points, right? So it's trying its best to come up with the equation. 3 points. Hone in on that. Less than 3, can't do it. Okay. So that is your. And then I want you to introduce you to one more zoom. Okay. Zoom all the way. I'm going to ask you to go all the way to 9 so you see it. Zoom stat. You see that one? Remember, we kept on pressing what button? Stat. Statistics. It's technically for statistics, but we're using it here. If you select that one, watch what's going to happen. Just hit enter, go zoom, and then go to the 9th option. It always tries to zoom in to those points that you've given it. So it will really hone in on those. So you might have to change your window to see more, but that one for sure will get you to those points that you're interested in. Okay. All right. Let's answer some questions now that we have it in Y1. I will make a note here. Do not enter equation manually into Y1. Okay, I don't want you to do that because if you type in this, the one I wrote down manually, it's not going to give you the same answers as we are because it's using way more decimals than what we would have had we used this version. Okay, so keep that in mind if you don't want to have rounding errors. Yeah. Anybody else have any calculator issues? We're good? If you do, let me know. Okay. Uh, Determine the vertex of the parabola. Let's go ahead and find that. You should be able to do that right now. Second trace, we're going to use max, right? So you go enter to the left, enter to the right. And so the maximum, we're going to go second trace max, and it's 0.12, 2.56. We've got that. Calculate the x-intercepts. We let y2 equal to 0, second trace 5. So I'm going to do that, okay? And I'm also going to, I have a feeling that I need to increase my x max a little bit after pressing zoom 9. So I'm going to do that right away. So I'm going to go out to 5. I'm going to go to y equals and turn my y2 into 0. And then I'm going to hit graph. And let's find those. Second trace 5. Enter, enter, enter. It found the one to the right. So that's 2.530. Second trace 5. Go to the left. And hit enter, 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 enter. Negative 2.280. Those are my two x-intercepts. So basically, once you have the equation, it's based back to where we started, right? Determine the y-intercept. Can I use this equation to give me that? It's in general form, right? No brackets. So you can actually just use that. Rounding to more than 2 is always better. Like, I'm not going to mark you wrong if you give me more than 2, but I will take off if you do less than 2, right? So that's always the, as long as you do it correctly, I might add, right? What's the value of y when x is equal to negative 30? So they're basically saying, hey, if this is 30, what's y, right? This goes way back, right? So second trace 1, x is equal to negative 30. So second trace 1, negative 30. What is wrong with that? Doesn't like something I typed in, so I'm going to go go to is usually, it often will highlight what it doesn't like. It doesn't like the negative. What do you think is, what's that? You were saying something, I think that might be right. The wrong, what might be wrong? Like what's wrong here? Why is it not telling me? Francis? Your window's too small. If you look at the window, the lowest x value is negative 4.6 that it's showing me. So I need to do something about that. I'm going to go negative 40. So I've gone to negative 40, but I also need to see more in the y min, right? Because I know the x value is somewhere in here, but I need to know. So I'm going to go window, y min. I don't know. I have a feeling I'm going to have to go big here. Negative 250. I think even that might be, we'll try it. Oh, yeah. I'm just seeing that one leg, but that's all I'm interested in. I'm going to give it a try. Second, trace 1, x is negative 30. Yep, it worked out for me, but it's still way lower. It should have gone lower, right? Y is equal to negative 400.778. I should have gone lower, but I gave it a try and it worked. I don't know exactly when it doesn't work and when it does, but it's safe to say that try to see the whole thing. right? Oh, by the way, this point that we just found has its cousin on the other side here somewhere. We're just not seeing it, right? So always keep that in mind. That's the symmetry of the parabola I'm talking about. So we use keystrokes. We're all good here. Let's keep going. Okay. So let's see how we can put this all together and use, if we have points, if we have how many points? 3 points, you can come up with an equation. So let's see how that works out. Okay. A parabola has a vertex of 2.5. That's very important here. 2.5, I should say. So 2, 5 is right there. That's the vertex. It has two x-intercepts, one of which is negative 5, 0. So let's go over to negative 5, 0 and plot that down. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to ask you to, if possible, do one of these. Okay. We know that if this is the vertex and this is the x-intercept, we know it's pointing down. We need to now figure out where would it be on the other side here. And this is where I'm going to introduce axis of symmetry back into the, it never left really, but we might have taken a short break from it. Okay. This is called the axis of symmetry. And it's actually the equation x is equal to 2, right? Is the one that characterizes it, that describes it. And so I'm going to tell you to do this. I'm going to actually ask you to label these points. I think it'll be better. The vertex is 2, 5. And do you remember the equation for axis of symmetry? X is equal to x1 plus x2. Yes. This would be considered x1. I would consider this my x1. The vertex is actually x, right? Because it gives me the axis of symmetry. So x2 is somewhere out here. I don't know what x2 is. It's a question mark right now. So you plug in x is equal to 2, x1 is equal to negative 5, plus x2, and that will be divided by 2. Okay. And I will use the space, I'll use this here, that's fine. So I need to multiply both sides by 2, right? There will be a quicker way later to do this. So 4 is equal to negative 5 plus x2. And then I add 5 to both sides. X2 is equal to 9. Okay. So second x-intercept is 9, 0. Because remember, let me just zoom out for a bit here. Remember that if this x-intercept is here, there is another one on the same line, on the same height over here. Since the starting point was at a height of 0, if you use this equation, you're expecting it to be on the same height, right? So 9, 0 is right there. That is my third point. This is the third point. Okay. And so now we can complete this. I don't know if we want to make it dashed. Right? Because it kind of came in later. So we're kind of imagining it. Hey, if this is true, then we can fold it over and find that, right? And I kind of want you to see this. I mean, go ahead and write it down before I mention it. I want you to see, let's just do some mental math here. No, right? You're dreading it. How many units is it from -5 to +2? 7, right? 7? Okay. So 7 units. So it would stand to reason, right, that from the middle to the other leg, it should be another 7, correct? So let's do a little bit of mental math. If you start at 2, right, this is the 2 line, and you move another 7, it would make sense that we end up at 9, right? So I'm okay using that that reasoning. You don't have to necessarily show this whole thing here. And I will show you how I do it down the road. So what are we doing now? Well, we haven't even gotten there yet, the equation, right? So we do this, x and y, we make a little table, okay? We make a table and we put in the points, -5, 0, then the vertex is 2, 5, and then that third point is 9, 0. And I don't know if you noticed, right? We started at 0, we go to the vertex, and we're back at 0. Okay? And so we type this into L1, we type this into L2. Stat calc 5. You're like, 5? Where does that come from? That's quad reg, okay? And what is stat calc 5? So what do we need to do first, guys? We need to go stat edit, right? Stat edit, and let's clear both of them. Hit clear enter, right? You go to the top and then type in the values, -5, 2, and 9, enter. Then it's 0, enter, 5, enter, 0, enter. If you, for whatever reason, make a mistake, the coordinates do not make sense to the calculator, it will say something about dimensions. Can't do it, right? And once you have this, you go stat, calculate, quadratic regression, and then you go second 1, comma, second 2, comma. What comes next? Vars, y vars, and then you can close your eyes and basically just hit enter 3 times. Enter, enter, and then enter to run it. And there's your quadratic equation. What's that? I'll do it again. Here. Did you find vars? I'll do it one more time. So if you were like, what? Here, stat edit, I enter the points. Then I go stat, calculate the 5th option, and then I go second 1, comma, second 2, comma, vars, y variables, right? Enter, and we usually put it into y1. Down the road, I might suggest you put it into y2 because you just did y1. You want to leave it there. You don't want to override it. That comes later. And then that's what you should be getting. And then you write it down. Y is equal to, that's where the y equals is very important if you want full marks. 0.408x plus 4.592. I apologize, but you can see it on your screens there. So that is your quadratic. And now it's like back to normal. I could ask you for the vertex, for various things, right? It says 4.592, believe it or not. Right, there you go. Yep. Okay, I will answer that and I will actually get you to do that on your own with that question next below it, okay? Determine the value of x when y is 54.75. That calls for y2 is equal to 54.75. Second, trace 5. So I'm going to go, oh, don't, I was going way too fast here. I need to first see, can I even see this curve? That is huge, right? So I'm going to go graph it. And it just so happens that it does show some, right? Listen carefully. Zoom 9 is your friend only if you know what needs to happen after you press zoom 9. So I'm going to go zoom 9 because that's zoom stat. And you should be able to see the points you've entered into L1 and L2, right? In this case, no changes. I wouldn't change a whole lot. We'll see. Y is equal to, and then I'm going to make the Y2 54.75. Some students think zoom 9 is always going to do perfect. No, not always, and you will see that. And so I'm going to graph it. Hopefully that wasn't a typo. And it seems like it was. You know what the problem is? I think it was supposed to be 5.47. Let me just try that once. No, that's too high. Oops. Okay. Oh, it was supposed to be negative. Yep. Sorry. Can we make that a negative? That's what it was. So that changes things, right? Make sure you change that to a negative, please. I will make the y2 equal negative 54.75, but I'm not even going to go and find it. I'm going to change my window right away. Window, y min, I should be at, I would say negative 60 for my y min. Pending changes. I will graph it now. And I can clearly tell, right, that yeah, the line is here, but it's so far outside. I need to change my x min and x max accordingly. So let's go ahead and do that. X min, I'm going to go negative 50. X max, I'm going to go positive 50. Let's see if that works. That seems to do the trick. Yeah, that worked for me. And so there are two instances that is the case. Okay, two instances. So second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. It found the first one right here, which is negative 22.20. You know what? I will just answer like this. X1 is negative 22.20. And X2, I'm about to find out. Second trace 5. I'm going to go all the way above, over the hill. When I'm closer to the other side, hit enter, enter, enter. 26.20. 26.20. So these are my two values there. And again, I need to emphasize that we should have gone down more because this is blocking my view. So I keep on forgetting that because I'm used to the fancy color calculators. You get them next year, by the way. So you're gonna love those. Those are super nice. So two instances, right? It happens twice. It happens on the left side, and it happens. So if there are more than one, because we're not bound by a word problem or anything, you gotta go find both of them. Okay. Now, I want you to find the equation for this graph right here using the same strategy you have 2 points. You need to find the third one. You can't guess, okay? You need to do it mathematically, okay? You can't guess the third point. Please don't do that. In fact, soon you're not even going to get a graph. I'm just going to give you 2 points, right? So you need to be able to find the third point, which is going to be, it's going to be across, right there. And we know, I'm kind of giving it away already, right? We know that our height is this. We just don't know what the x value is there, okay? It's always the symmetry of the parabola guarantees you that at a height of 3, you're going to have another point at a height of 3 on the other side. So go ahead and find the third point, perform the regression, do all of those things right now. You have 15 minutes. I think you should be able to do this and then some before your classes are done. Yeah, I will be right there. I just want to say one more thing. I've done this throughout the book. So if I ever forget to mention, here's the homework. The bottom of this page, page 10 in the workbook. I'm just going to double check and see if it's actually, you can pack. I'm just going to solve this anyway, so it's on the video, but you can go ahead and pack, that's fine. Oh. This is not that, that's that. Did you get this? That's what you should be getting. Can I say something here? It doesn't matter which order you put the points in, as long as you don't mix up your, like you have to keep them together. Like the negative 14 needs to stay with a 3 and so forth. X-intercepts. Let's see if this works. It almost does. Also, I'm just thinking here, if you're entering, if you're doing your homework from previous sections and you're inputting an equation manually, make sure plot 1 is turned off because it's going to give you an issue. They interfere, right? So you don't want that. And let's see here. The second one is 0.420. And that one is negative 14. Francis, is that what you got? Okay. Oh, 0, right? So the answer, I will post the answer key to the worksheet. This one, it's only one page. You just do maybe, I think, 4 of these different levels of difficulties. Okay, so you got to make sure you know how to do that. And we've got second trace 5 here, right? Y2. So keystrokes, make sure you have that. And that is it for